Welcome back, Benchwarmers. We are here for another interview episode.
Our guest today is someone who works in the content world of the NHL.
Alexis wears a few hats in her role with the Ducks, and today she's going to give us a look into some of those.
I'm really looking forward to hearing from a pro on how to do this stuff.
Well, let's stop wasting time then. I'm Corey, Duckstream fan.
I'm Brendan, Orange Country.
I'm Alexis Downie, host and content producer for Duckstream, and you are watching our view from the bench.
Before we get started, if you're not already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss any one of the new episodes.
Also, if you could please do us the favor, if you like what you see or hear, please don't forget to smash that like button.
Smash it for us. Come on. It's free. It's free for you. It's free for us. Helps out the channel a lot more than you probably think.
Hell yeah.
Well, Alexis, welcome to the bench. I appreciate you taking the time out here. I'll kind of hand it over to Corey. I normally do a lot of the intros, but you guys are, colleagues, I guess you could say. So I'll let Corey take this one away.
All right, perfect. So yeah, as Brendan said, Alexis, thank you for taking the time out to do this. We appreciate it. Alexis is a host and content producer for the Anaheim Ducks, as she mentioned. So before we jump into some questions, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background of her resume. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see it pop up here on the screen. Alexis, as I told you, if I missed anything, please feel free to let me know. But I think I got it all.
Yeah, sounds good.
So while attending Michigan State, all these things I'm going to say right now, Brendan, are all while in school. So keep that in mind.
Props. Okay.
So interning for the Cape Cod Baseball League, interning for USA Hockey, and NBC Sports Washington. All right, just internships. Now we're going to do other stuff while in college.
Okay.
Host and reporter for the Spartan Newsroom and Spartan Sports Report, ESPN campus correspondent, broadcaster for the Big Ten Network, student assistant with Michigan State Hockey, sports reporter for WKAR. Again, just in college, Brendan. We didn't do
Dang. Well done. I was trying to get to class.
Doing your research.
Yeah.
Try a little bit. Now, once you got through Michigan State, and we'll get to Brendan and Michigan and all that stuff later, you started out as a reporter for Stadium. Then you went to ringside reporter for the Chicago Steel, a part of the USHL. Then a reporter for the Big East Conference until August of 2022, when the Anaheim Ducks were lucky enough to hire you and bring you on as a member of the team. Did I miss anything there, Alexis?
No, you got it all. I mean, there was a lot of stops along the way, and you hit them.
All right, fantastic. Now, I have to tell you, this isn't one of the questions I plan on asking you, but your time at Michigan State, because Brendan and I went to small schools here in California with no football teams. So how was it going to a football program school and just being able to go to a college football game?
It was the absolute best. I mean, those are some of my favorite memories from college, to be honest. And so where I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. It's a big football town. Yeah. Huge football town.
My brother-in-law is from Youngstown. His parents still live there.
Oh,
and
really?
my sister moved to Columbus, Ohio with him, and that's where they live currently.
Wow.
So,
We're just figuring this out now, too. Yeah.
Crazy. No Ohio State, too. Ouch. That's good. I'm happy about that.
No Ohio State for me. My parents never went there. I was actually born in Pittsburgh, so grew up a little bit more with my mom got her master's at Pitt. So that was, if anything, Pitt and Youngstown State were my two colleges growing up. But yeah, so grew up in a big football town. So when I was choosing my colleges, I knew I wanted a school that had a lot of sports programs, a big Division I school. So when I landed at Michigan State, one of the first things I did, I remember as a student, was getting season tickets. And I will never forget that first football game. We played Oregon. It was college game day. This was back in 2015. The Spartans were supposed to be really good that year, which they ended up being really good that year. And it was a picture perfect first game as a freshman in college. I mean, you go to the game under the lights, the whole stadium is striped in green and white. And from then on, I mean, I was at I don't think I missed a football game my entire 4 years, except maybe one over Thanksgiving, my freshman year. But I went to every single game. And it was amazing. I loved it so much.
Yeah, see, as a Cal State Fullerton alum, we're undefeated since '93 because that's when we cut our program. So it's not quite the same. Yeah,
that does sound fun though.
Team store too. It's really awesome. It's one of my favorites. All right, so now that we've got your background here, let's jump in right into it. My first question for you is, who were some of your biggest influences in broadcasting as growing up into the organization?
Yeah, so from an early age, I always just was drawn to watching the news, watching sports, kind of all of it. So I'm probably one of the few people that can say that I knew from an early age that this was what I wanted to do. And that being said, I remember very vividly sitting on my couch in middle school and turning on NHL Network and watching Catherine Tappen. And she was just someone that stood out to me from the very beginning. I loved her presence on camera. I loved her personality. She just seemed like such a friendly person, and she was so good at her job from those days to obviously now as well. I mean, she's done so much for hockey, and now she's expanding into college football too, which is awesome. But she was someone that was a huge influence on also kind of why I got into the industry. I mean, I knew that I wanted to work in sports, but watching her from that young age, and when she was on NBC covering the NHL, I loved her. And she was someone I really wanted to meet. And fortunately, I actually did meet her when I was in college.
Nice.
She was covering the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they had a game in Pittsburgh, and I made a sign and stood behind her that said, "I'm here to meet Catherine Tappen." And it worked. So
nice.
So I would say Catherine Tappen. I mean, she's like the one person that I've watched my entire a lot of my life, and it's someone that I've always looked up to. And there's so many great broadcasters, but she's just someone I've always kind of modeled, what I want to embody in my career.
Is that why you kind of stuck with hockey more than choosing different? Because you said sports in general, and you mentioned how much you liked the football, atmosphere, I guess I'll call it. But is that kind of why you stuck with hockey?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we had a junior hockey team in my town, the Youngstown Phantoms of the USHL, and I started going to those games in high school. And I mean, I grew up a Pittsburgh Penguins fan, so a lot of great talent on that team throughout the whole lifetime. But when I started going to those junior hockey games, I grew so passionate about it. I was the girl in high school that was skipping whatever events so I could go to those hockey games because I just loved it so much. So I think that, a little bit of her influence, but also I just kind of fell into loving the sport so much that I knew, it was a kind of unique opportunity too, because a lot of people do want to work in football. They do want to work in basketball, whatever it may be, but hockey's so niche. I saw that as maybe that's a different kind of career path. And, when I picked my college, Michigan State, it actually was important to me that they had a hockey team. So it all kind of worked out, I guess, in that sense.
Yeah, well, you're not sweating on the sidelines. That's good. It's mighty cold in the arenas. So there's that, right?
Instead, I will say it gets really cold in our rink, and sometimes I keep gloves in my bag because it gets so cold.
Gotta be ready.
Starting back in the day, I worked at Angel Stadium first, working baseball outside in the summer, and then going to Ducks in the winter. I was like, oh, this is so much better. So love working baseball.
Yeah, that's awesome. Teams get hot.
Nice. Well, now that you're in this new role, the one that you've kind of found, can you walk us through like what a typical game day would look like for you, from maybe preparing to it to what it looks like once the puck drops, and anything that you might do post game?
Yeah, absolutely. Every game day brings new challenges, and it's funny because the role that I was hired for 3 years ago, going into my first season, I was just a podcast host, and I was just hosting all the different shows on Duckstream. But since then, my role has grown quite a bit. And, if I go back to last season, like a typical day for me, if it's a home game day,
home.
I'm waking up, getting ready for morning skate. So I have to be there at around 10 a.m. on a game day, and go to morning skate, watch skate, go in the locker room afterwards, and work on all my storylines. So usually I'll pick a couple players that I want to talk to that morning. Some of them I record, so we use it as a part of our Duckstream pregame show. Others I have on the side that I'll use for my different hits throughout the game. And so I go to morning skate, do all of that, also talk to our coach, listen in to the media scrum. After morning skate, I'll head back over to the office, which with all the construction right now, I'm not sure how that's going to change going into this season. It's going to be a little crazy. Yeah. But it used to be a nice short walk over. Now it's a little different. So head over to the office, kind of get all my notes together. And usually by then I'll edit all the audio that I got in the morning, send it over to our producer to put together for our pregame show on Duckstream for that night. So work on the pregame format. I essentially produce all of that because I come up with all the topics and I share them with Steve and Emerson prior to the pregame. So I'm working on that all afternoon in addition to my different storylines that I'll use throughout the game. And then at some point in the afternoon, I would also record our pregame report that airs on the Jumbotron at Honda Center before all of the games. So I go in there, I set up the camera, I set up our lights, all of that, shoot it, edit it, send it over to our entertainment team. I've been doing that myself. Actually, since my first season, I was doing that in addition to the podcasting. So get ready for the game, head over to Honda Center. Yeah, it's usually a busy day, and head over to Honda Center, get all the equipment ready, and talk to Stephen Emerson a little bit so we're on the same page, and then do the game. And I host the pregame show. In game, I have 3 hits that I give, 1 per period, and then additionally, I can jump in on the broadcast if there's something that they missed. I can just talk to my producer in my headset, say, hey, can you have Steve bring me in? I saw, XYZ. So then after the game, Emerson joins me over at my little perch in the press box, and we do the post-game show together. And the post-game show also features different calls of goals or fights or different things that happen throughout the game. So throughout the game, I'm texting our producer, hey, can you cut this highlight, get it ready for post-game? So Emerson and I are ready to go. And then after that, I get to go home. And usually it's about 11:30. So it's a solid 12+ hour day every home game day. Long story short.
Yeah, no, that was great.
The year after COVID, before you came in, when Joey first got hired, I was kind of helping them just kind of as their runt and kind of running around doing whatever. And I remember them getting there, like you said, just early doing the pregame skate and all stuff. And I was working the team store, then coming to help. And you guys were leaving before I was even at that time. You guys were all leaving at 11. I'm still there till midnight helping with the team store. So it is a long day, but obviously it all comes, the hard work pays off because all your stuff that you do is great. So continue doing it.
Thank you.
And it's just exciting. At the beginning.
Work.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say it's the best. I mean, it doesn't feel like a job,
That's good.
Exactly.
Hey, you mentioned something towards the beginning of that. It's just a podcast. Hey, whoa, that's something, all right? There's nothing wrong with just.
No,
a podcast,
it is. Okay? Yes. I definitely did not mean it like that, but I think back to like how much it's grown
changed
since then. I mean, every year the role has just evolved into something new. So, but I love doing the podcast still. That's why I'm doing that.
All right. Yeah. You seem to be killing it at all levels. So great job.
Thank you.
So what part of your role do you find most rewarding and what's the most challenging besides like home game day? Cause that's challenging enough, but is there anything else that's more challenging in the role that you're in currently?
Yeah. So I'll start with the rewarding part of it. One of the things that you don't really think about when you get into a role like this is how much that you end up connecting with the fan base. And that's something that I didn't really think about, when I took the job. In my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm joining this family out in California, because that's how everyone, when I talked to them, described the Ducks. And it was something I really liked hearing. You start to interview the players, and you chat with everyone in the organization, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you start to get integrated into the fan base, and they start to know you, and hey, we liked this show you did, or whatever it may be. That's one of the most special parts about this job, is just getting to meet people from honestly all over the world. I've gotten messages from people in Brazil, the Philippines, over in Europe, all these different places that have tuned in and follow the Ducks. And it's so special. And it just says a lot about the hockey community, about the Ducks too, and getting to connect with them, and then also keep those relationships too, because that's something I value. Like if I meet a fan, I try to remember them as best I can, because it's always special when they come back up to you and say, hey, we talked about this. And you say, oh yeah, of course I remember that. It's building those relationships. So that part of the job for me has been really special. And then also being that connector between the fans and our players, getting to know our players. I feel very fortunate that they've opened up their lives to me and are willing to, share their stories and their struggles even on the ice. So all of that is just so special to me, and I don't take any of it for granted. But in terms of some of the challenges with the job, keeping on time with everything on a game day, staying on schedule, making sure I get everything done. I'm a big list person. I always write out everything I need to do to get done. But I think sometimes, when we have an away game, I don't typically travel. I actually do our away games from my house, where basically where I'm sitting right now, which can be a bit challenging sometimes because I don't get to see what's happening live. So that sometimes can be difficult because it's a lot of relying on the producer to make sure hey, we're getting out in time for Steve to make a big call on a goal and things like that. So the communication aspect can be difficult, but it also is what makes the role a little unique, because that is a challenge in itself. And making sure you're staying on time with the game and the hits and things like that. So I would say that's maybe more of the challenging part of the role right now. But, if you had asked me a couple of years ago, I probably would have given you a different answer. So
Well, I like the fan connection. I actually have a side story. Today, when I was at work, we have there's only one person. A lot of Kings fans from where I live in LA County, so there's a lot. But
okay.
there's this one person that I work with. Her name is Helen. Shout out to Helen from work. She is a huge Ducks fan. So I actually saw her today. I don't see her very often, but I saw her today, and it sparked something in me that said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna have Alexis Downie on the thing." And she knew exactly who you were. She said, "Oh my gosh, I watch her all the time before the game." So you seem to even make a connection, even if you're not meeting them in person. You seem to be connecting with the fans even over the airwaves, I guess you can say. I know everything's on the internet, so that's not really a thing. But yeah, so she was super excited. So she's excited for this episode because she loves the Ducks. She just lives and breathes the Ducks, and she knew exactly who you were when I mentioned it. So I just wanted to share that with you, because even if you didn't meet people, you're still connecting with fans. So
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Let's stick with fans, though. You kind of mentioned a little bit, maybe fights or goals. Those are kind of the obvious ones. Are there any other ways that you and your team kind of decide what stories to tell and which ones maybe connect with fans the most?
Yeah, and I think that's where we have started to utilize Victory Plus, our new TV partner. Last season, we partnered with them and KCOP, which is over the air in LA, channel 13 for people that still have cable, but it's also on YouTube TV and a lot of other platforms. But anyway, so when we started using Victory Plus, we realized that we can create a lot more video content in addition to all of our audio work on Duckstream. So that was a really added bonus last season, and something that we're going to be utilizing a lot more into this season. But it's kind of been a mix of utilizing our podcast platforms to tell the stories of whether it's our players, our coaches. My show Light the Lamp, I like to have on a lot of people around the hockey world that cover the game or play the game. So it's a little bit of ideating between us, and we are a small team. But we grew last season. We have more than just 3 people. There's 5 of us now. So
I was going to say, I've noticed there's a few more people that are permanently over there.
Yeah. So a little more help on that end to come up with more creative ideas. But that's the fun of it. And that's something that, a lot of broadcasters actually don't really get to do. They don't get to pitch their creative ideas. They usually, you're working with a producer who comes to you with the ideas. So that's something I definitely don't take for granted either. The ability to come up with different ideas and concepts where, hey, let's have this player on because he was, he had a great couple games and we should highlight that. Or, this is happening in the community, or things like that we can implement into our podcast. So, I think back to last season where when we had head coach Greg Cronin as our former coach, he came in and did a long form podcast with me prior to the season and opened up about all of the work he did last summer and just things that he wanted to change. And that was kind of an idea that, we had to work with our PR team and, Greg Cronin to make sure he was open to doing that. But it's something that I feel like fans were able to listen to get a better idea about the team. That's also why we have our GM show with Pat Verbeek, to give a little bit more transparency. So it's basically a team effort of coming up with these ideas too. But it's a lot of, we can, not only do we have the podcast now, but we can put these videos on Victory Plus and get, more viewership now. They got a lot more eyes there. So I think it's something that we're going to be utilizing even more this season. And I've already got some fun ideas I got to get the players on board for. So
awesome. Nice. I like your name, Light the Lamp. That's good. I like that.
Thank you. It's funny. One of the first tasks that Joey, my boss, gave me was, hey, you got to come up with a name for the flagship show on Duckstream. And it took me like a full week. I mean, I was going through all different ideas, and in my old job, my show that I hosted and produced there was called Icebreakers, and I loved that name.
That's good
so
too. I like that.
I didn't want to obviously reuse it. I needed something new. And then one day I thought, Light the Lamp. That's what you want to do. You want to score goals.
True.
So
True.
Yeah, it's kind of catchy now. We're 180 some episodes in.
Nice.
We're right
like
behind
that.
you. You are our 161st episode today, so we're right behind you there.
Oh, okay. I like it. I like it.
All right. So speaking of all the different ideas and things you guys have come up with, is there ever been a piece of content that you guys came up with but went differently than planned? And how were you able to adapt in the moment?
Yeah, that was a lot of the first season with Duckstream, because we came into the year with a plan of, hey, we're going to do 3 shows a week of Light the Lamp. We're going to do every other week with the coaches. We're going to do once a month with our GM. And to be honest, the Light the Lamp part, we did that. And that was really challenging, getting a guest 3 times a week. And in addition to all the other things going on. But we found that sometimes, it's better to have quality over quantity. So we decided to change that format going into our second season. And now it's kind of evolved over the last couple seasons now. But yeah, we saw the drop in listenership because there's just so many episodes at the time. And sometimes it's too much content, and it would go out of date quickly too if you didn't listen to it in time. So yeah, we did have to adjust kind of our plan of Duckstream after the first season. But you try things, and if they don't work, you change it and you see what works. And that's something that you can't take personally either. It's just the way it is. And it's worked out now to this point where we're happy with the listenership and the viewership at this point too. But it always helps when the team is winning, certainly.
True.
And we didn't have a lot of that my first season, so that was the year that we ended up drafting Leo afterwards. So if that tells you anything about where we landed at the end of that one.
Oh, that was
random.
It's been a rough couple of years.
Random parallel. We kind of had something similar where when we first started this, we didn't really know what we wanted to do. And we decided that let's just talk about everything all at once. And we'd sit here for 2 hours and record this long thing. And the more we thought about it, it was just like, man, we have to do so much prep. And kind of to your point too, unless someone's listening to it right away, then it's old news. It's also, we almost were trying to be like our own version of the news when there's plenty of other news outlets for sports out there. So that's when we decided to kind of switch it up and just start to go topic based and have smaller, 15 to 25 minute YouTube videos, as opposed to this just gigantic drawn out, let's talk about every sport we could possibly think of at one time thing.
Also makes my editing life a lot easier, I will say.
True.
Yeah. It's funny. In my old role when I was working in Chicago with Stadium, we covered everything: NBA, college football, college basketball. I was doing the NHL for us. Like, it was everything all at once. I was managing 5 social media platforms at once too. And it was just too much. And I understand like the idea of narrowing down your topics and what you're doing it really helps, not only from, like you're saying, the editing,
Yes.
but it's just, you want to keep listeners engaged. And obviously, that's a
Right.
little easier when it's shorter.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And as Brendan described it, instead of long and shallow, let's go short and deep. Like, let's keep it little, but let's go really in depth with that topic instead of just kind of skimming across the top on 12 topics, which in the long run made more sense. So.
Yeah,
good choice,
exactly.
Good choice.
Yeah, well, it worked out so far. So, well, I mean, kind of speaking of things evolving and you kind of going different, how do you kind of see the future of team produced content evolving over the next few years for hockey?
I hope it keeps growing. I feel like, at least from our perspective, when I was hired to be the voice of Duckstream, I think there was only maybe 3 or 4 other audio networks in the NHL. Granted, there's still not that many. The Capitals have one. San Jose has one. I know I'm missing some. I think New Jersey might have one too. So either way,
we have the best one. So.
Yeah, we do. The most comprehensive 24/7 stream in the NHL. You can't beat it.
That's right.
But
that's right.
Yeah. So the neat thing about that was, after we created it, we got so many calls from people asking us how we did it. What are the different tools, because they wanted to emulate it with their team. But the thing that makes us unique is the Ducks have we have a lot more access than a lot of other teams might. And just in general, it's a smaller market. So things are a lot closer here. So we're very lucky that we are able to have something like this that isn't really restricted. You think about, some of these original 6 teams, they might want to make this, but the rules are also a little different. Their fan bases are massive, and they've been around a long time, so things are different in every team, granted. But I think that what we built then was a good formula for maybe other teams to look at. And that this is me speaking humbly about, I'm so proud of what we've been able to do. But I think that team content now has started to develop and get deeper. I think even particularly about like Vancouver, they build up their content team. They have a team writer, a team reporter. They have a couple different people, and they're going more in depth. They're doing a lot more video work, podcasting, things like that. So I think that when fans are able to get that side of a team, it's just so valuable, and it makes you feel so much more connected to the team. So I hope that it keeps developing. And the team side, it's funny because when you're on the team side, there's certain things you can do and can't do, versus if you're just a reporter covering the team, the rules are a little different. So if you're coming from the team side coverage, every team is going to be different with their rules. But, from the outside media, they're able to maybe do things a little bit differently. So I love that, there's been so many new outlets for showing off hockey, whether it's, even like TikTok or Instagram Reels, that's really popped up. Obviously the podcasting, there's a lot of different podcasts, whether they're from the team directly or, from the regional sports network that owns the rights, or even the fan podcast. So I think that there's so much content with teams, and it's helping the sport. I hope that it continues to grow. Like, I think the Four Nations last year was such a hit, and it got so many eyes on hockey.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's not even like content, but it's just good for the game. Like, you're seeing something new, and it got so many views. So I hope that the NHL is able to look at that and say, let's keep diving deeper. Let's continue making more content. And it's cool because actually next week is going to be the league media day, when they bring in a player from each team. They have the national writers and reporters sit down, and they get to interview them. So,
Nice.
Maybe we'll get to see some new stuff this year.
Nice. You'll probably bring some new stuff too. You seem super creative. So
we have a lot of tricks up our sleeve that we like to we're working on. So
okay, well, that kind of leads me to my next question, and I don't even know if you'll be able to share all the details or any of them at this point. But are there any upcoming projects or creative directions you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, definitely. We're still working out some of our TV stuff for this year, so that could be looking different. I can't give too many details on that, but
Understandable.
that will be that's certainly something I'll be involved in this season. As far as our Duckstream Victory Plus content, I would say expect to see even more on Victory this year. We have a bigger team now, so we're able to do a little bit more. And there's a lot of great ideas that have been thrown around. And like this time of the year is one of my absolute favorites because we have media days coming up for our team. So I get to sit down with every single player, talk about their summer. And we've been doing that in a very typical way the last couple of years. This year is going to look different. It's going to challenge them a little bit of a athletic contest, I'll say.
Ooh, okay.
So hopefully it doesn't go over embarrassing for me. And
It's TikTok dances. It's probably TikTok dances.
No, not TikTok dances, but that we could add that to the list. So
okay, if that shows up on social, Brendan, that was your idea.
I got it. Nice. All right.
I gotta find a player that would want to do that.
On skates would be impressive too. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
they're already so good on skates. They're insane.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah, I would love to do more on ice content. I can skate. I mean, I didn't play hockey or anything, but that's always been something I have thought about. It's just, to get them to stay on the ice after practice some days. We got to make sure we're doing it when the team, like I said, is winning.
Yeah,
because that'll certainly help.
The first thing that comes to mind when you're saying that is, Brendan, what's the one on? Is it college basketball, right? Where Jay Billis walks the player across the court and they just kind of talk while they're walking?
Yeah.
Alexis could skate with the player from one end to the other and just kind of chit chat as they're skating slowly across.
There you go.
I like it.
You're welcome.
Like
no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Team members, we're right here. We're ready.
Right.
We'll bank that idea.
All right.
Perfect. Well, before we let you go, you know what? There might be somebody out there like you were when you were younger, watching to see, how do I get to be and do this really fun job? Is there any advice that you would give someone that kind of wants to get into either sports hosting or production or broadcasting in any form? Any advice you'd give somebody?
Yeah, and I love that question because we've all been there. You have a dream, and you're like, "How do I start? Where do I begin?" So I always like to tell people, say yes to a lot of opportunities. Maybe not every opportunity because you want to make sure that it's going to benefit you and you're going to learn something from it. But especially from the start, just start to understand all different aspects, whether even if you want to be on air, you got to learn production, you got to learn PR, you got to learn communications. All that stuff behind the scenes is super valuable. So I always like to say, just say yes to a lot of opportunities and make sure you're networking, talk to people, build those relationships. And when you're doing it, you got to make sure you're genuine too. Ask people about their job, learn about things, like be hungry to learn as much as you can, because in the end, it's going to make you the most valuable. That's at least coming from my experience. I felt like sometimes, when I was struggling to figure out a direction when I was in school or when I graduated and was looking for my first job, I was able to lean on those people in my network, and they really become so valuable because you never know where they're going to end up. And like a good example of that, I think about when I graduated, I connected with Matt McConnell, who is the now play-by-play voice for the Utah Mammoth, but he was with the Arizona Coyotes for a long time. And he was a Spartan and someone that I just connected with after college. And I just told him, like, hey, I want to be in the NHL one day. And he said, well, you're going to have to do a lot of things before you get there. But with that attitude, you can do it someday. And now, I get to see him at games when Utah's in town, I guess, not Arizona anymore. But and it's just really special because, he was there for me from the very beginning. So that network of people that you build is so important. And, don't be afraid to reach out to people that are in those higher positions, because people are very friendly in this industry and you never know who's going to email you back and who you're going to be able to stay in touch with. So a couple different things in that. But, I think the biggest thing too, one last thing is, like, don't give up, because, I had this dream from a young age, and I had people tell me, oh, it's going to take you a long time to get there. And, I believed in myself. I bet on myself, and my network, helped me get there. And I had a lot of people supporting me. So that's something I'm always so grateful for. And, I made it happen. And it's something that like, it's not lost on me, the journey. So you just never know. And dream big, I guess. So
Yeah. Well, you didn't mention it much. You mentioned the help of a lot of people, and I'm sure they did, but it sounds like you put in a lot of hard work too. Not only listing through your resume that Corey went through, but just grinding it out.
Yeah. The one thing I don't agree with, and I wish that they would change in the industry, working for free, the free internships. I wish that would go away, because it doesn't feel right. And I did a lot of that, a lot of volunteering per se. Obviously it helped, but it's not that easy for some people, and it's just, it doesn't seem fair sometimes. So there were some opportunities
take a job and not get paid.
Exactly. Like I had an internship opportunity with a professional NHL team, and I turned it down in college because I was like, I can't move there for the summer and not get paid. Like that just, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So
you're an adult. You got stuff to pay.
Exactly.
Food to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I wish that's something that the industry would change.
Yeah, well, hopefully they will in the future moving forward. I know that like I listen to ESPN LA radio a lot, and they did that a couple years ago. They brought the intern program back, and they pay all of them now. They don't do free internships. So it might be starting. It's just going to take a while to get across the board, but hopefully other teams or programs are kind of following suit as that.
People love free labor.
Yeah. And I understand some parts of it, obviously the volunteer side of it, but there's just some things I feel like if you want kids to get the experience, you got to be able to afford them too. So
yeah, I mean, it could be minimum wage, just something.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Something so I can survive.
Yeah.
Nice. Well,
this has been awesome. Thank you very much for doing this, and appreciate you taking the time out to do this. Now, I have one other question that was not part of this, but are you going to be doing any color analyst work this year on the broadcast at all, radio or TV?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I actually have that coming up for the Rookie Face-Off. I will be our color analyst for the 2 Ducks games when we're hosting the Sharks and the Kings, and that's on the 12th and 14th at Great Park. So that's coming up, and I know that fans can go. I think it's like $15 for a ticket, so not too bad to go and watch all of our young stars. And Beckett Seneca is going to be on our roster, so obviously, and Stian Solberg as well. So those are 2 big faces that you can see on the Duck side. I haven't exactly got to the opponents yet, so we're still working on that. But yeah, I do love the color analyst work, and got that opportunity last season. It's one of those things that just kind of happened timing wise with some shuffling in the broadcast crew. So usually I'll find out about that not too long before it happens. So there is obviously a possibility that could happen this year, but don't know about it at the moment.
Okay, well, good to hear, because I think Emerson does a great job. I think it's nice having some, I don't want to sound mean, but some younger blood in the booth, and I think having you in there as well would be nice, change of pace, because I think the way this team is, it's a very young team and ascending. I feel like we should kind of have a broadcast crew that's kind of in the same place, and I think you and Emerson would be a great addition to that. So I hope you get to do more of that this year and beyond everything else you already do during your long day.
I know. Right? More work for you. Jeez, Corey.
It was really fun getting to do that game last year with Steve. And like the special thing about it too was Calgary also had a female color analyst on radio. Okay. So it was, we think, and we tried to check with the league, but they weren't able to confirm it. Granted, it was the day of. We think it might have been the first time ever in NHL history 2 women were color analysts on the radio broadcasts at the same time.
So, making history.
I told Megan we're just gonna say it was, because if the league can't confirm it, then it probably was. If
you can't prove it, then it has to be. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Probably right.
I like it. Well, we do appreciate your time. Before we let you go, is there anything that you'd like to shout out? Any certain? I know we've talked about Light the Lamp, but anything else that you'd like to tell our viewers?
Yeah, you can listen to Duckstream 24/7. You can listen on our Anaheim Ducks website. You can listen on the TuneIn app, and then watch all of the content for free on the Victory Plus app, which if you are not in the region, you can still watch it for free anywhere in the country. You just have to download the app, and you can press the little X in the corner when it tells you to sign up. So
We'll have some links in the description to kind of help the viewers find that too. So, but yeah, we appreciate you coming by. Honestly, it's been great having you. To all our viewers, thank you for coming. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
I'm Corey. Like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.
This was a Sycamore Fourth Studios production.